welcome to Village in Motion. It's Thursday, and it's March 24th. If you haven't looked outside this morning, look outside. The weather is beautiful. The cherry blossoms are starting to bloom, and it's just a gorgeous day. But we're glad you're with us right now. Today, we've got two really nice people who are going to talk with us about the Resident Council General Services Committee. And we have, first of all, Peggy Kellers, who is the council's liaison to the committee, and we also have Bob Goulrick, who is the secretary to the General Services Committee. And we're just really glad to have both of you guys here with us this morning.
Thank you, Clint.
Thank you.
Both of you are relatively new to council activities and to committees. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. How long have you been on, Peggy?
Last year I was on the Communications Committee, and then this year I was elected to the Resident Council.
Okay.
I've been here about a year and a half.
Oh, we love that to hear that. We just absolutely love that. It is so nice to have people who are new, who are fresh, bring new ideas in, and get involved as soon as they get here. That is really great. Very good. So are you having fun?
I am.
Good.
Except for the TV issue.
Now, are you talking about this morning, or are you talking about directory?
No.
Well, General Services has been tied up with that somewhat,
Yes,
haven't they?
Yes.
What's really happened with all of that, with the TV?
Well, when the change took place and we had to do a lot of rescanning, obviously it was more than rescanning issues. DirecTV has had to step in and do some rewiring, and then we have individuals who have older model TVs, which means they're not going to be able to receive the digital signal. So it's probably been a bigger issue in this last month than anyone could have anticipated.
Okay. What is the General Services Committee done in regards to that?
Well, other than being kind of point persons, and the Resident Council has also stepped in with the computer club, volunteers to help out with neighbors or just getting information to Lynn Keefe and the General Services Office about who's still having trouble and maybe helping to define what that trouble is. And so we're kind of a pipeline with working with General Services and then, of course, working directly with DirecTV.
Well, that's tremendous stuff. And it's really nice that the committee, here you are, a group of residents helping other residents.
Yes, that's right.
That is great. It really is. Bob, have you been involved with anything with the TV?
With the TV, not directly. I know that this is my second year on the General Services Committee.
Okay.
And last year, when the new contract with DirecTV was signed, and there were a lot of problems, issues, questions about how you use the remote, how you use DirecTV, and the General Services Committee members did get involved, sort of like Peggy was saying, with the current issues in assisting and advising residents how to adapt to the new system.
Okay.
So that's basically a purpose. One of the purposes of the committee is when we can, the members can, is to try to help other residents with transitions that technological transitions that they may be having difficulty with.
Oh, okay. Speaking of that, if someone does have a problem with a TV now, with the change over to HD and digital and everything, can they just call you guys directly?
They can, or they can call General Services or the DirecTV number.
Okay.
We usually hear by hearsay, sitting at the dining room table, how's everybody doing with their television set and so forth. And so then when I hear that, oftentimes I'll just go to that person's apartment and see if it's something that I can fix. I'm not technically savvy, but I may be one step ahead of the game after the last couple weeks.
Yeah, Lynn has requested that all residents call General Services directly because we've got a cadre of volunteers who are sort of trained and knowledgeable to go around and help the residents.
Okay. With General Services Committee, what else are they doing besides, helping people with their TV and getting things in regards to that?
Well, generally, Clint, as you well know, the General Services Committee is basically an advisory group, and we don't make any decisions.
Right.
Obviously, we just try to provide input back to the resident council about sentiments and feelings of residents and input that we receive from residents. We don't really have action items unless we're requested to do so. I think last year we were requested by the council to look into the parking,
Right.
Getting the parking arrangements better situated, as you might say, and we did have an ad hoc committee that studied that, and then our committee approved what they came up with, and that went to the council.
Right.
And it was strictly advisory, of course, and the council adopted it in whole or in part. I'm not sure how, but
Just to let you know, what happened is it came to the council, and the council approved it as such, and then sent it on to administration, which is the typical process of things go to the committees, from the committees to the council to administration. But the committee did a wonderful job last year in regards to the parking recommendations. I know some people are distressed about the new parking paint, but many of us are very, very excited about it, and there certainly are a lot more people that have reserved parking places now.
Well, I know we did a lot. We mainly Earl Williams, who's now our chairman, but he's in the hospital. But he and an ad hoc subcommittee really worked hard on that. I mean, they did studies. They went out and I think they physically measured the parking lots.
That they did, and they really took account of everything. I mean, they really audited the number of parking places we have on campus. So very, very active.
And I think our General Services Committee, along with Dining Services, are two of the largest committees. So we have 20 members.
Yes.
And they're divided into 5 subcommittees.
Oh, okay.
And then each subcommittee has a manager from General Services to work with directly. So it really makes for a nice partnership.
Right.
And I think a connection, not only for the committee members to realize they're kind of advocates for residents, but also they're partnering with the staff to try to divert problems or assist in input.
Okay, so it's really a collaborative effort then between management and residents.
Very much.
You mentioned there are 5 subcommittees. What are they?
There's maintenance engineering is one. There's telecom and communication services is 2. There's an environmental services committee. There's safety and security, and there is transportation.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So everybody then has an opportunity to get involved. Everybody on the committee is assigned to one of those subcommittees, right?
Correct.
And so they get involved and ask questions of other residents and provide and work with the manager from General Services.
And they set their goals based on the manager's input from the forums, the surveys, and then the comment cards or feedback that they're getting directly into the General Services office.
Oh, okay.
So the managers typically drive the goal-setting process, and the subcommittee comes alongside. They do legwork. They, investigate things like the measuring of the parking spaces and that kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. So if somebody, after seeing this show, decides they would like to be on the General Services Committee, is it possible for them to get on?
Well, each year we have a sign-up sheet, and this is resident-wide.
Right.
Usually it comes out in late October, early November, and every resident has an opportunity to prioritize their number 1, number 2, and number 3 committee. And then they are selected by the executive committee of the resident council as to which committee would be able to use them. At this point in time, I don't have a reason why they couldn't call and say, can I come on? And it would just be a matter of assigning them to a subcommittee.
Right. Okay. So, if somebody is really interested in a particular item, would like to get involved with what's going on, could then contact the resident council and say, hey, I'd really like to get involved with this, or, would it be possible for me to be assigned to a committee?
Yes.
Okay. Bob, you have said that last year you were involved with the same committee last year. And you were secretary last year also, weren't you?
Yes, I was, Clinton.
So you've gotten to be a bit real pro at taking minutes around here. But last year you did a superb job. I happened to look at your minutes every week.
Yes, you had to. They were sent to you.
Yeah. But you've been here how long?
I've been here since October of 2013, about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Originally, I went on a committee. The first year I was on the Human Resources Committee, and I was secretary of that too. And I think I went on that because the president of the resident council, who happened to be you, asked me if I would go on the committee. The Human Resources Committee, after I was on it for 1 year, it got folded into another committee because it didn't have enough responsibilities to stand on its own.
Right.
And I was asked to transfer to General Services, which is a very exciting committee. We have good meetings. We learn everything that's going on. Lynn Keefe comes to all our meetings.
Okay.
Every meeting she comes to and gives a full presentation. And so a lot of good issues that we hear from the feedback from the residents and from the management.
Yeah, great. So it sounds like you enjoy being on committees.
Yeah, it's sort of I've been on many committees in my other life, outside life, and with office responsibility. So yeah, I think it's good. You get to meet a lot of new other residents and learn about what's going on in the community, particularly in general services, because it's sort of it covers a very broad range.
Yeah. It's kind of the catch-all of what no one else does, general services does, right? I remember when I first moved in 8 years ago, one of the comments that was made in the orientation I attended was that fact of the people that are on the help desk that you call the 4610 number, that they're the ones that catch everything that no one else does in regards to it. So if you ever have a question, call them in regards to it. So in regards to that. But not only, though, are you on the committee and learning about things, you're also providing your own input in there and input of other people. I mean, you really are a representative of the residents by being on the committees, right?
Right. And we do. We have a system of comment cards, which I'm sure you know about, that comes up every month, and we take into account the comments that residents have made, plus whatever else we have individually heard from or observed ourselves.
Okay. You mentioned the comment cards. I'm not sure that if everybody knows about those. Tell us about those comment cards, if you would, please.
Well, I think at every front desk there's a box and there's some cards to make comments to General Services about all of these areas that we've been talking about. Grounds maintenance, trash removal, cleanliness, all
parking,
these
everything.
Everything that a resident may notice. That and we do. The council and the committee does emphasize that all residents should keep their eyes open and do inspections, look at things, see what needs to be fixed or improved or taken care of, and then put in the comment cards and say this should be done. Right. And then that will come to the attention of management and the committee.
Okay.
We have 2 committee members who collect the comment cards every week from the 3. Not only sent to General Services directly, but then they also get sent to the appropriate subcommittee. Okay. And I'd just like to say that a comment card is different from a work order. If you have a problem in your apartment, you do a work order directly to General Services. If you have an idea or a concern or a complaint, it's more generic, or maybe you see that a light bulb is out, on the pathway, then you do a comment card.
Okay. Do comment cards, though, replace or are used instead of people calling the 923-4610? Or is it better to call the help desk first and then do a comment card?
If it's something immediate, I would do a call.
Okay.
But it's also good to follow up with the comment card. because that way everyone knows about it, and we read them and take them seriously. And it just gets a bigger picture for the committee to see what's going on and maybe areas that need to be addressed.
Yeah. And I would also think that one of the things with comment cards, if 10 people see the same thing and fill out a comment card, it really shows the fact that there is a problem here. It's something that really does need attention, as opposed to just one comment card about something that might be a serious item.
Right.
The comment cards go in the box at the front desk. The person goes around every week. How does the committee get the information, and then how does General Service get it?
It goes first to General Services, and then copies are made, and then it goes to the chair of the subcommittee. And oftentimes, Bob or Earl and I also get copies of the comment cards, or at least we're aware maybe of the specific situation.
Okay. So General Services gets to see the comment card every week.
Yes.
If
And Lynn Keefe has her staff logging the comment cards. So she has an Excel spreadsheet. And the staff person logs them so that she knows categorically where they belong. And also it keeps track of the response time and maybe the action that took place as a result.
So if somebody is wondering, did she get it, or has it been addressed, what they can call the committee, or they call General Services, or what's the process there?
I think that they can call the General Services office because they would have the up-to-date log.
Okay.
And they would know that, oh, this is in process, or, we finished this last week, whatever it might be.
Okay. So it really is a way of following the action.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, in regards to it. Why did you want to be on General Services Committee, Peggy? Any reason?
Well, it's interesting how you get selected in resident council. So the same way that the residents put a priority for each committee, when you come onto the resident council, you also put your top 3 choices for which committee you want to serve on. So I'm new to the resident council, so I told Mary Sue Garner, I listed my 3, and on the bottom I put, you can use me as a utility player. So General Services was not in my top 3. I probably didn't know enough about it, and so I got chosen as the utility player, and it's actually been great.
Oh, good. Glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And that's that's one of the nice things about being on the council. You find out things that you never really had any interest in that you get involved in. It's like, wow, this is interesting along those lines. Very, very good. And you've been on the council just this year, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bob, any reason that you've decided to stay on the General Services Committee for more than 1 year?
I would say, Clint, because when I went on it last year, of course I was asked to transfer, and I went in like Peggy, not a real strong idea of what was involved with the committee, but being on it 1 year and seeing the variety of subjects that are covered. I mean, General Services covers ranges practically everything in the community.
Right.
Is touched one way or another, and so being on it, I think is interesting. I get to get the inside information.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
about plans and projects in the community, and Lynn comes to every meeting. We have a meeting once a month, first Tuesday of each month at 1:30. We have a meeting once a month of the full committee.
Right.
And at that point, Peggy comes to all the meetings. Last year it was Gray Parks was the resident council representative, and we get the subcommittees, the 5 subcommittees that Peggy mentioned. They each give a report at the meeting, so we get a view of. Complete view of what's going on
the campus, right?
On the campus. So I liked it. It has some meat to it. It's not just sitting back and dozing.
Yeah. So people that are on the committee really are active.
Yes.
And you need people that are active on the committee. Very good. Very good. Any goals that you guys have for the remainder of this year for the committee?
We have goals that were given to us from last year's committee, which we certainly respect the work that they provided, so it gave us a jump start to those, and I'm pretty sure we haven't revised those.
Okay.
And then each subcommittee, as I said earlier, has goals from the manager that they're working towards, and those are probably new or maybe ongoing from the previous year. So we probably have I'd say 8 or 9 goals as the broad committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so those are reported on as far as accomplishments or what needs to still be done with those.
And then at our last meeting in November, we'll make sure that not only are we ready for a full report, which our chair will give, but also we'll then sit down and say, all right, what are some goals that we can pass on to next year's committee?
Okay.
So I think that's a very helpful transition, and nothing gets dropped.
Yes. I mean, it's really a nice way of following things and make sure that there's continuity from year to year and from chairman to chairman type situation. And speaking of chairman, your chairman is still ill, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Earl Williams is the chairman this year for General Services Committee, and he's had some unfortunate health experiences so far this year, right?
Yes, and on the scroll it showed that he is now in Garden Ridge.
Tremendous.
As of yesterday, and
Great.
so I'm sure he's glad to be out of the hospital.
Yeah, I'm sure he is, and that's progress, and we hope that he
Yes.
has a successful recovery and comes back and lives among us very shortly, right? Gets back active with the committee.
Yes.
But it sounds like you guys have got it covered quite well in regards to why he's out. With General Services now, the flowers are blooming, people are planning things and doing things. Have you guys worked any with John St. Louis and his crew?
Let's see, that would be maintenance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that, there's a subcommittee basically,
With
maintenance
grounds?
of grounds.
Okay.
It covers that, and I think last year, in fact, the subcommittee arranged for a particular meeting on getting to know the trees in Green Spring. You may recall that there was a open meeting
Right.
for all residents for John to explain, talk about all the different variety of trees we have here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I missed that meeting. And somebody told me they were going to do it again, and they haven't done it again. So
Yeah, well, maybe they will.
I'd love for you guys to do that again in regards to that.
And our maintenance subcommittee just met this past Tuesday, so we're now in the process of getting the minutes. I believe they were in my inbox yesterday. So that was their March meeting, and they're already set with their goals for this year, and I didn't take a look at whether or not they had met with John yet.
Okay. You mentioned the minutes, and both of you familiar with the minutes, quite familiar with them. If a resident wanted to see the minutes, see what took place, where would they go with your minutes?
For our committees,
Yes.
they would go on the Village Bridge,
Okay.
and then they can also go into the library. For the overall resident council minutes, they can go on the bulletin boards, and then there's also a notebook in each library.
And so that anybody that wants to can look at
Yep.
those that information and know what's going on.
Yes,
Yep.
they're open. We want to be transparent about what's going on at all levels.
What did you see that Green Spring needs to do, residents need to do? I shouldn't say Green Spring as such. What do residents need to do to help General Services?
Well, in addition to the comment cards, I think if they just let us know, things that are a concern to them that apply to General Services, and I would rather know directly than hear complaints around the dinner table. I mean, obviously that's a social environment where that happens, but I think if there are things that are going on, definitely the General Services Committee is an advocate for the residents. It's so easy to get the perception that we side with management.
Yeah, right.
And that's really not true. We partner with management to try to get things done, but we also are advocates for the residents. And I feel like that's very important. And that goes committee-wide.
Yeah.
There are 106 residents who are involved in committees or resident council. And I truly believe that this group really wants to be an advocate
Yes.
for the concerns among the residents.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I really am, because I think people really need to realize that council, the committees work together collaboratively with management to get the things done that need to be done. And it works so much better when people are positive about, would you look at this? Would you take care of this? Rather than complaining about it and doing nothing in regards to it. So glad to hear that.
I think a good example of that, Clint, has been the transportation, the shuttle buses. Through our committee and residents directly, there's been a lot of input on desired changes in schedules or trips that they would like, and that has influenced the transportation department to change some of those routes, some of those trips, some of the schedules.
Right.
So it does go to management, and it does influence them.
Yeah, and because now I understand that the shuttle goes to Wegmans and it goes to Healthplex.
Yeah.
And there's someplace else I recently remember where they've changed the schedule around and looking at things, actually not changing the schedule, it's adding,
Usually adding, yes.
in regards to it, which is tremendous.
And I think our challenge, and this goes for every committee, is how do we communicate those changes to the residents in a timely manner?
Yeah.
Because as you know, some people look at the scroll regularly, some people look at their cubbies, some people look at the bulletin boards. So there are a number of different avenues where we can communicate, but we're trying to reach as many residents as possible with that mode of communication.
Right. And so if people do not go to all the different resources that we have for communication, the bulletin boards, Channel 6, the Village Bridge, the Villager.
Yes.
It's kind of their own fault, isn't it? But there's a lot of ways, though, to find out what's going on around here. There really is. Anything else that you'd like to share with us about general services or your own activities?
No, I'm here today because Earl Williams, as you pointed out, has had some health problems, and I'm taking his place. So I wish Earl well, and he gets back, and he can come here next time.
Well, Bob, we're very glad that you did take his place today and that you did join us. But so thank you.
Thank you, Clint.
And Peggy, anything?
And I think that we're all really committed to helping the morale become very positive around the community. We're a very caring community of residents. That was one of the things that impressed me right off when I moved in. I know we've had some ups and downs between dining services and the TV issues and so forth in this last year, but I really hope that many of the residents will take hold of the idea that we can make a positive difference, and it doesn't just fall on 106 people, but we can all contribute to that with a positive attitude and constructive criticism.
Excellent point. Excellent point. And I totally agree with you. And again, thank you very much for being with us this morning.
You're welcome.
Love to having both of you with us, and look forward to you coming back on again in the near future. Okay?
Thank you, Clint.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clint.